Namaste, and welcome, beloved mighty companions, to this holy circle of light, God's circle. I just feel so strongly like I was joining with Marguerite this morning, and then I joined with Rita, and we join here, and you just see how God has brought us together in this holy purpose. Just like you can see this, it's almost like the whole group is gelling on that messenger group, that iMessenger group, coming together in support of really this deep innocence, deep looking directly at denial. And to see how quickly it is and how simple and how gentle it is to go directly to denial. And I'm going to continue with the beliefs out of the chapter. Marguerite said this. Something that did stood out to look at is the meaning of the word desire right now is very much associated with guilt and fear. And so I just feel it's helpful to encourage that guilt and fear come after desire. They're the desire experience. See, they arise after. So if we stay with the desire, stay with I do want that place right there, and go, oh, Jesus, I want to ask for a miracle quickly. It's before that it moves. Consciousness is a movement. We can ask the light, is consciousness a movement? Does the light move in our direct experience as light beings? In the light of divine being, do we need to be guilty for having desire? No, see, guilt comes after. Does guilt come after desire? You can hear light. So if we just with that desire and recognize it and go, yeah, I'm really desiring this experience, then we can ask really quickly for a miracle. Before we start pinning the labels on it. See, that's what consciousness function. It likes labels, likes to use words. There's a sensation that rises up, or we're going to give it a label. It's so fascinating when you really start thinking about it and kind of lifting the hood of consciousness and looking under there. It's like, how is it possible? It's just so fascinating. We can get more curious about it. How is it possible that no bodies seem to be joined, yet every body seems to know what sadness is? How come? Who's been inside of somebody else's body to know what sadness is? Yet we all talk about it like we know what it is. How do we know that Joe Blow's sadness over there is the same as the sadness here? And notice how there seem to be very similar triggers. And then in some cases, none of the same beings are triggered off the same things. See, that's the play. This variety. The only way that can happen is if minds are joined. They're joined in the play of consciousness. That the word sadness, quote unquote, means something. Unhappiness means something. This sensation means something. We don't know what it means. Yet in the play of consciousness, everyone seems to know what it means. How is that happening? Minds are joined. But they're joined in the pretending, in the collusion that something's happening. It's really great. We watched Simone today, Sim 1, a great movie. Al Pacino, who's an amazing actor as always. And he's not doing really well with he works in Hollywood. This is so great. What a metaphor. The Hollywood production of characters. And his lead actress, he's not really connecting with her at all. He's really frustrating. And then he finds a way to create a character, an actress. It's so perfect. We can just watch it. We can see the whole play in consciousness around the creation of this character, and everybody wants to know this character. And oh, this is the most amazing character. Meanwhile, the whole movie, that's a fictitious character. And it's so much the same with how we play with as a character ourselves in consciousness, how that plays. It plays like a little actor that's real and something's happening to it. And so now Jesus has given us the opportunity to go, let's just see if that character, if there's a character. Let's look in the light. Can we find a character in there? Is there like a little structure in there? When we look as the light, is there actually a character in there? Is there an object in there that's a character that has all these characteristics? We like to pin all these characteristics, and then we like to talk about the characteristic. This character is from Kalamazoo, Michigan. And this character went to University of Michigan, and then they got a graduate degree, and then now they work as an attorney. You know, that storyline. Is the light carrying around a storyline anywhere? When we look as the light of divine being, can we find a infinite being? Doesn't have a storyline. That's why it's supremely happy. Well, you can ask. We were asking today. I love hearing it over and over to remind me. Or would we be infinitely happy without a story? Let's ask the light. Light goes, yes. We cannot be happy with an investment in a story. Is it possible to be happy, supremely happy with the investment in a story? Hear the light. Let's be direct. Not possible. The light doesn't have a story, and neither do we. Do we have a story in truth? All labels stuck on to try to divide, create fractionation, experience fractionation. So now Jesus has given us the direct means to look at fractionation. Right as the little seed, we're talking about that little seed of fractionation called desire. Desire to experience fractionation. Now we can just go, oh, let's see. He's showing us in A Course in Miracles where all the desires are for fractionation. And yesterday we looked at You Believe the Journey with the Holy Spirit as Sacrifice. So he's showing us every way in a tome this huge that we can actually try and say no to light. You know, it's like, why is that book so big? Because in fractionation consciousness, we found 1,000 million different ways to say no to light. So St. Peter had it easy because he denied the Lord 3 times before the cock crowed. And the rest of us are denial 100 billion zillion times denying the light. But what a great metaphor. What a great story. You will deny me 3 times before. I don't know anything about the light. What you talking about? Know what the light is. Do we know what the light is? You know what the light says? Yes. Are we that? Is the light saying no? It's not saying no. It says yes. So we know. We do know. And then we pretend like we don't know and that we're afraid of the Holy Spirit. So we were actually looking at that this morning. It's so great. You appreciate your brother so much for the value your brother brings when he starts, the reflection in your mind starts bringing up all these things that need to be looked at that are denials of divinity in consciousness. And you check in on everyone and goes, that's still there? No, it's not. Okay, I'm still going to look at it and make sure with Jesus and have no assumptions that anything's, I've learned on that. I've said that before. It's like, and Muji would point to it and go, you know, stay as the light, basically. That's Muji's message. Stay as the light. Jesus's message, stay as the light and admit where you're not You're investing in something other than the light. Muji would say, don't put any fuel on the fire. Jesus would say, don't put any fuel on this. Don't put your fuel. See who the one is throwing, I said today, the Molotov cocktail. Here's a big fire burning, and then we throw a big firebomb on top of it. Go, what happened? He says, withdraw your energetic investment in it. As a divine being, do we have to? Is the light giving us a requirement that we have to add more fuel to the fire? No, we're the ones who are lighting the fire. So we're just looking at where the fire is lit so we can emit it and go, withdraw the fuel that we're giving it. You believe that God rejects you. You desire an experience of feeling rejected by God and then feeling angry about it. So, and it's not only, they see that the ego makes a little split out package. We feel rejected by other. See, someone else rejects us. There's a projection, an other. It makes an other that can reject us. And if that's not good enough that we don't feel rejected by our brother, we also feel we feel rejected by God. But since there's only one and there's only God, if we feel rejected, we feel by our brother, it's a reflection that we're feeling rejected by God, ourselves. So we desire to reject ourselves out of heaven. We desire to reject heaven. So see if that all connects together, and go back and ask the light. Do we desire to reject heaven? So we're not rejected. We rejected the light. Ask the light if that's true. So we can just go direct and go, okay, show me the desired experience to reject the light. Is there a desired experience to reject light? And ask the light, is that underneath all experiences of rejection? Light goes, yep. Okay. All right, so I'm willing to look. Just go directly. Is there any desire to experience rejection that I can look at with you? Will you help me? Yes. I want to put the experience, the desire for experience to reject the light. Because that's really what it is. See, Jesus is now really getting to the retranslation. Somebody asked me about retranslation. What does he need to retranslate? It's just helpful. We can see when we're feeling rejected that we want to reject heaven. We want to reject the light. That's just the quick way. And then we can ask, can I have a miracle on this whole idea of rejecting myself, rejecting heaven, rejecting the light? See if the light says no. It says, yes, this is a great place. This is a good place for a miracle. You can feel a little leap of joy in that. And to see the desire and feel that experience, that itch for rejection, then place it in the light and see what the miracle does with it. See if it can outlast a miracle if we're sincere about asking for a miracle. Is rejection possible in the light of divine being? Can we find it in there anywhere? So we can be really honest about what's being rejected. Well, he's getting really direct now. I mean, to see what we're really rejecting. Is God rejecting us, or is that the play in consciousness where we desire to reject the light? That's honesty of God right there. Okay, I'm willing to see it. And then feeling angry about it. See, the anger about it that's why the projection tries to go out and find a reason. See, the projection, I'm going to find a reason why I'm angry. And that is like the distraction mechanism from looking to see that we're rejecting heaven. Instead of looking back and saying, oh, there's a desire here, not, I feel rejected, but it's really, I'm wanting to reject the light right now. So instead of looking really at that, I'm going to let it start to project out so I can be hung up in the anger zone. See how it's a delay to be hung up in anger? That's why he says anger is never justified. Never justified. He doesn't say sometimes justified. He says it's never justified. It's a rejection, and it's a cover over that we want to reject the light. Reject ourselves as divine being. That's pretty radical, because you don't hear that a lot in spiritual circles. Anger is never justified, but you see why? Because it's hiding underneath it. The belief, first of all, that anger is possible and that it's real. Is anger real in the light of divine being? Can we find it as real in light? So he's telling us directly, let's ask the light, is anger an investment in the unreal? And hear what the light says. Yes. That's why he's telling us it's never justified, because we just invested in the unreal, and it's a diversionary tactic not to look under for the desire for the experience. So we create the experience, and then we're pissed off about the experience. The two things we want to play, rather than looking and see it's all made up. That's pretty sneaky. You desire an experience of rejecting God, the light. See, it's a desired experience to reject the light. You desire experience rejecting your brother. Another fractionation to reject the light. We can ask, is rejecting our brother rejecting the light? Whoo, smoking, yes. Okay, hear the light, what the light says. See that these desires are all the same. The desire to reject love, light, and experience is apart from you. It's trying to keep love out of awareness. We're going to keep the light out of awareness by rejecting it. Rejecting a brother, feeling rejected by God. Can we see that rejection is all the same? It's a light boot mechanism. Try to give the light the boot. And can rejection actually happen in the light of divine being? He is so right. We are a little crazy, huh? Crazy, giving ourselves a boot out of heaven. To reject love and experience it as apart from you. And unattainable. It makes love feel unattainable. We're convincing ourselves, looking for proof that love's not here by giving the light the boot. Now that's close to it. That's insanity. Anger is casting yourself out of heaven through projection, the desire to prove that you are outside of heaven, outside of yourself. It's trying to prove heaven's outside of us. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, is heaven outside of us? Is that, is honesty of God saying, yep, it's outside of you? No, it's in us. It's us. Heaven is us. As long as we're not giving the light the boot, we can tell that. And even if we give the light the boot, we can see we can't even really give the light the boot because the light's still here. Let's look at that. Is angry, go think of a time, maybe comes into awareness where you've been as angry and angry and angry as you could possibly be. Is the light still there, even though the anger appears? If we're honest, the light cannot be gotten rid of. It's impossible to get rid of the light, but we can pretend not to see it by playing like we're angry. Okay. You believe lack is possible. Thus, you desire an experience of feeling lack and that something is lacking. So let's ask Jesus. This is a good one because this lack thing runs really deep. I'm missing something, the feeling of something missing. Jesus, is there any desire for a feeling of something missing? I'm willing to see. See that The ego thought system applies lack indiscriminately to objects, events, your brother, and God. There's, you know how it plays. We can watch it because we're starting onto it. We're onto it now, seeing the light. Does the light know what lack is? The light is like looking around, trying to find something missing. In the light, a person is missing. That's the best kind of missing. The story is missing. There's no, but is that a problem? The light doesn't have a problem with no story. The light's happy because it has no story. But if we have a storyline of something, the desire experience, feeling lacks, we'll feel lack. Then it appears in all kinds of ways: lack of money, lack of happiness, lack of, it'll play. It'll be, you know, I can never get a boyfriend. You know, it's gonna keep showing up. Something's always feeling like it's missing. Something happening in form's just not feeling right. See, we're evaluating form to try to find happiness. All ideas that you have about yourself is lacking, while it is the desire to experience limitation. Is the feeling of lack the desire to experience limitation? You can ask the light. These answers come faster and faster because now we're having that, we're opening the dialogue. I will tell you everything you need to know. See, when it's open, we can hear everything we need to know, and it's not much, only that we're light. Because then we don't have to be a storehouse. This is for me, because I was the scientist and the consultant that had to be a storehouse of a conglomeration of information. And it can still be used by spirit. Like there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not, it was such a piece of like holding on to an identity of the one who knew something. Now it's just used in purpose, and Jesus can use it in function. I still ask him. Because after, you know, we start to see that it's a denial of happiness to use information as a defense against the truth. The knowledge of the tree of good, the knowledge of good and evil. It's just better not to know. It's much happier not to know jack. And just let it be given. You believe others are fighting you for authorship through what they say. Boy, this was one of those ones that was really looked at Jesus going, oh, you are so right. And so I'm going to look and see if there's any more energy around that. You believe others are fighting you for authorship through what they say. You desire an experience where you feel others are fighting you for authorship through what they say. Jesus, is there any desire left in this? Is there anything I need to see here relative to the desire when somebody speaks that it feels like something's being taken away? And what happens in that, I can feel it, is then there's like a defensiveness that comes. See, somebody tells you something. You ever notice this? And we notice it more and more, right? As we're really focusing on the light and this light training or the mind training, you start to notice that little, you want to like jump out and defend when somebody says something. You just feel that little movement in the mind to try to defend based on what they're saying. You know, because there's guilt inside, and that's part of the projection of trying to defend against seeing that we're innocent. So anytime we get defensive over what someone says, let's ask the light, is that the belief that they're fighting us for authorship? So we create the characters. We make the character say something so then we can be upset about what they're saying and duke it out with them for that's, sticks or stones will break my bones kind of thing, The kids on the playground fighting over words. He called me and he called, it's that. But it gets subtler, more and more subtle when you see it. How you just want to, somebody tells you something and there's a contraction and you just want to jump in and defend. That's this. The belief that others are out there, that there's someone out there, that what they can say can have impact and change who we are. Authorship, can they author us through what they say? Yet the light, it's not objecting to anything. It's not defending anything. It just is. You believe, been really looking at this over the last couple of weeks. This one right here. You believe you can usurp the power of God. And that would be to make ourselves unholy and sinful. So let's just see, can we, even if we want to be in the worst way, sinful and unholy, can we do that in the honesty of God? We look as light. See, it's impossible to be sinful. See, the light doesn't know. Does the light know what sin is? And so we can also ask in the light of divine being, is it possible to usurp the power of God? And here with the light, I almost couldn't get that out of my mouth before. It's like, no. It is not. Is it possible? We'll look really to usurp the power of infinite light. Let's see. Or is the idea we have of ourselves more powerful than infinite light? And yet we'll play in consciousness, although it is. So we're playing in consciousness as though the idea we have of ourselves is more powerful than infinite light. That's another one of those things where you want to put up the sign that says, Jesus, you are right, I am insane. You're right again. It would be insane to think that we could have more power than infinite light, that the idea we have of ourselves is more powerful than infinite light. We can just look at that directly and see that is insane. This is like the welcome to the admission of insanity club, but it's a happy admission of sanity club. You desire an experience where you feel you can usurp, override, if you need that word, usurp the power of God and thus feel you are unholy. So we can take over the light's function and create something that's not holy. Let's check in the light and see what the probability of, so we can actually create something unholy. In the light of divine being, honest to God, is it possible to create something that's unholy? And is that possible? It can't happen. It is abjectly impossible because we are creation beings, and true creation can only create what's holy. That's it. That's all we can create. We don't have the power to create something unholy. See in the light, we can ask the light, do we have the power to create something unholy? What's the probability? It's like this, nada. No way can it happen. We cannot create something. So we have to dream it and pretend like it's real. The light can't create something unholy. It's just impossible. Because the light is holy. And holy cannot make unholy. How can is the light here first? Before a person or the idea arises? See, the light is here first. So there's no way we're light first. We can't make something unholy. We can ask the light to be sure. So every time we're feeling unholy, it's helpful to remember we can't create, it's impossible to create something that's unholy. But we can pretend by pretending you desire an experience where you feel you can usurp the power of God and feel you are unholy. Yet just see, the light cannot make something unholy. It's impossible. Cannot happen. We can see that in the light of divine being. See that this is the desire to usurp divine powers given by the Father. And then I love this. Jesus, what a great question. How can you usurp what you already are? Let's look at the light and see if we can usurp that every way possible. Let's really try looking at the light dead on and see if there's a way, and look around in there if it's possible to usurp light. Cannot happen. Therefore, we cannot be unholy. It's just, and we cannot usurp the power of God, but we can dream it. We can try and dream it, but it's going to feel really bad. Because it's untrue. You believe. How can you usurp what you already are? Let's see. How can we usurp the light that we already are? And you look in there, it's like, you can't do it. Can't do it. That's a really good one to look at. Thank you, Jesus. Cannot usurp the light. You believe you create your reality. Thus, you desire experience where you feel you create your own reality, a reality separate from your creator. Jesus, is there any desire to create a reality separate from the creator? He says, yes. Can we give that over for a miracle? This is a good place for a miracle. You can hear him go, yes. It's a happy miracle too. Can we, in the light of divine being, create our own reality? And hear what the light says. Can we, as light beings, create a reality that's other than light? And hear what the light says. Is the light looking to create a reality that's not light? Nope. Does the light know a reality, any other reality than light? Let's look. Does the light know any other reality other than light? Is it looking for another reality other than light? Let's ask the light. Is light our only reality? Light's the only reality. This is about as direct as it gets. You can't in run that light, no matter what we want to try and do. Okay. Can we create a reality that's separate from our creator? Let's ask the light. Is it possible, no matter how we would try, how hard, that we can be separate from light? Can't find a way. It's impossible to be separate from light. Can we pretend like we're separate from the light, like by miscreating consciousness, a dream that we can pretend like we lost the light, got lost somewhere, and then have a little storyline to try to find the light that's already here? The desire for the story of the one who wakes up. Because we really don't want to see that light. It's too late. It's already here. We're already saved, despite our best efforts not to be infinite light. We cannot change that we're light. There's no way. Let's look in there and make double, triple sure. It cannot be anything other than light. We do the light sniff test to make sure. You believe that your creation was anonymous, meaning you believe your creation is without source. Thus, you desire and experience, create and experience the impossible, that you're without source. So we're just going to ask the light this. Is there any desire to experience as though we're without our source, without the light? The light tells you immediately, yep. Okay. So is this a good place for a miracle? I hear yes. Let's ask for the miracle and change in perception that we can ever be without source. That we can never be anything other than source. Or is the light the source? Are we the same as the source? This is why we can't in-run the light. It's us. The light is us, totality. Can we ever be without source? Can we pretend like we don't have a source? Are we going to be happy if we pretend like we don't have a source? Here, the light. Even the donkey knows out there. That's our donkey chorus out there, the mule chorus. Make sure he's done. Okay. The ego is without source, is that it's unreal. So let's ask that. In the divine light of being, is the ego without source? And is the ego unreal? Is anything other than supreme happiness real? It's very humbling when you start seeing all the time. This is the desire to experience the unreal. Is the ego, in the light of divine being, honesty of God, is the ego the desire to experience the unreal? You're like, But no matter how much we want to be anonymous, can we ever? We can try and boot our creator out of our mind, but can we get rid of who our daddy is, who the light? Can we ever get rid of it? The light? Is the light the source? Are we synonymous with source? Infinite, unchanging light. Are we a bunch of conglomeration of thoughts? Here with the light, he goes, no. Are we our thoughts? But if we believe our thoughts, ask the light, will we feel like we lost our source? So we'll feel like we lost our source without ever losing our source. You believe you can author yourself. You know, and I was just asking him about, and he's reminding me about how some of these sound the same or similar. You can author yourself. Creation is nice. He says you have to look at every one. I asked him, do we have to look at it? Yes, because of the play in consciousness. You believe you can author yourself. Okay. You desire an experience of authoring yourself and authorship apart from your creator. Okay, let's ask Jesus, do I have a desire of an authoring myself separate from my creator? Which would be, is that trying to be separate from the light? And here what the light says, yes, that's trying to be separate from the light and authorship apart from the creator. That's the ego, is trying to author ourselves, to make ourselves something other than holy. Yet in the light of divine being, can we be less than holy? This is the desire to deny that you are authored by God and thus one with him. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, can we be authored by anything other than the light? Is a good place to ask for a miracle for any perception that we can be authored by something outside of light. the desire for an experience of being authored outside of light. To be authored and be unholy seems like the unholy theme, that we can author ourselves to be unholy. Wow. Without it ever being possible. Because does the light know anything other than holiness? Doesn't know holiness, doesn't know unholiness. So we don't either. Thank you for showing me this, Jesus. This chapter is this contemplation on these chapters, you can see how powerful this contemplation is and why the discussion can be a distraction. It's a delay, it takes time. Then it becomes this philosophical comparison about the different ideas about what the metaphysics are and what they mean. When really we can just go to the light for all the answers directly and let the light fill in the blanks. Amen to that, Jesus.